GLP-1 medications have really changed the face of weight loss, but the costs and the side effects associated with those leave many people looking for natural alternatives. One popular alternative is a supplement called Bioma GLP-1 Booster. In this video, I'll review the science behind the Bioma GLP-1 Booster and break it down to help you understand if this is a product that's right for you. Just for clarity, I have no association with Bioma whatsoever, and they have not paid me for this video. If you're new here, I'm Mark. I'm a scientist, and every week I make videos breaking down new and emerging research to help you understand it and to break that down into plain language. If you like this kind of content, I'd really appreciate it if you could like, subscribe, or leave a comment. That not only helps me to grow the channel, but also helps me understand what kinds of things people like to see so that I can make more of that and get you the information that you're looking for. So let's dive right into the Bioma GLP-1 Booster and see whether it's a good alternative to GLP-1 medications or not. So I've talked a lot on this channel about GLP-1 medications and how effective they can be for weight loss, as well as some of the other benefits that they have. But there's so much interest from a lot of people for other solutions, either because they don't want to take a drug, they're worried about the side effects, they don't want to take an injection, or the most obvious one, that GLP-1s are just really expensive. And so a lot of people can't afford that. And I think that that's understandable, especially in this day and age. So folks are looking for alternatives. And one that really has jumped out at me is this Bioma GLP-1 booster. And the reason that it jumped out is because Google searches for this product have really gone through the roof over the past year. And I think it's important to, take a look at what's actually in these products, what are they claiming, and what is the science that really underlies those claims to make an educated decision about whether or not it's something that is right for you. So, just taking a look here at the Bioma GLP-1 booster, let's start with just looking at what's inside of it. Okay, so this is it's a supplement, right? So it's not a drug, and it's they claim it's a GLP-1 booster. To be clear, there is no GLP-1 or GLP-1 agonists or analogs in this product at all. What it is essentially it's a pre and a probiotic. So we look at the ingredients. The first thing on it is something called sucre. That is just basically it's a branded trademarked sugar, right? So what they're doing here with sucre. I did a little bit of looking into this. What that is, it's a purified arabinose, and arabinose is it's a sugar basically. It's different from table sugar, but it's sweet, and so it's used in food, and it's fine. It's safe. There's no issue there. The next thing on there is something called triacetin. That is, it's another compound that's it's not important to go into the chemical structure of it, but it's basically it's a food additive. It's used for flavor. It's in a lot of foods. It's safe. It has a long history of use. Not really a concern from a safety perspective. And then beyond that, the Bioma GLP-1 booster has in it probiotics. So they kind of split it into these two different lines. I'm not exactly sure why that is. I'm guessing it's because of how they're measuring them. But they have this blend of two probiotics, a Bifidobacterium animalis and a Lactobacillus gasseri. Those are very common probiotics. They're in lots of different products. Again, from a safety perspective, no concerns at all about that. We'll come to it in a moment. My concern is about, does this have any effect on weight loss? The other probiotic they have in here is something called Akkermansia muciniphila. This is it's a very popular probiotic right now. The reason is because there are studies that associate it with people who have higher Akkermansia in their microbiome have lower body weights, right? And so they say it's like a cause correlation kind of thing where people are saying, well, if having Akkermansia is good, let's give you Akkermansia so you lose more weight, right? So this is a probiotic that's being used in a lot of products, and that's presumably why they have it in this. One thing I will note here is that when you look at how much you're getting, they actually use different units for these different probiotics. So here they're using for the first two, they're using what's called CFU, and you don't really need to go into too much detail about what that means. That's basically like if you grow the probiotics on a plate, they form colonies, and so a colony forming unit, you're just counting how many of them there are, right? That's kind of the industry standard for how probiotics are measured. For the Akkermansia, I know a lot of Akkermansia products do this, and I can talk about why it is, but they're using a different unit called AFU. Okay, so this is not the same thing. This measure it's basically they're looking under a microscope. They're putting a dye on the on the probiotics and then looking at it under a microscope and looking at how much of it basically glows under the microscope and using that to quantify the Akkermansia. And basically, the reason they're doing that is because it's really hard and really expensive to get a high concentration of Akkermansia. And by using AFU instead of CFU, they can effectively get away with putting less in there. So you're just getting a lot less in there compared to the other two probiotics. And then the last ingredient here is cayenne pepper. I don't know why that's in there. That's is interesting to me. Maybe it's a flavor thing. The other thing maybe to watch out there is if you're somebody who has sensitivities to pepper, to cayenne, that this is something to watch out for and to be aware of. But overall, I think this is I have no concerns about it from a safety standpoint. I think it's a totally safe thing. No concerns about that whatsoever. Uh, the a bottle here it contains 30 servings, which is basically a month supply. This will run. I mean, it depends on where you buy it from, but on in the order of like $50 a month for a bottle like this. So still not cheap, honestly. If you're looking at, it's a lot cheaper than like $400 a month for GLP-1, but not an inconsequential amount of money if you're not sure if it works. So let's talk about that. What is this company claiming about this product that it can do? And I think it's really important here that we distinguish the science from the branding and the marketing. I will say, props to their branding team. This branding is really beautiful. The color schemes, the packaging, it all looks really beautiful. I think that maybe helps when people are looking at something to see whether they want to buy it. But what really matters is the evidence. Like, what is the evidence that it actually works? And so here they're claiming natural GLP-1 activation. So if you're not familiar with this, GLP-1 is a hormone that our body makes naturally. It helps to control our feelings of fullness and hunger. So if you have more GLP-1 signaling, you tend to feel full, you don't feel as hungry. That's how the drugs work. They are a synthetic compound that mimics the GLP-1 and sticks around in your body for a full week rather than breaking down in just a couple minutes like natural GLP-1. So by taking that drug, you kind of get that full signal, fullness signal, the satiety signal throughout the entire week instead of just for 2 minutes after you eat, right? And so what this product is claiming effectively is that if you take it, it's going to boost your natural production of natural GLP-1. And then that's going to have effects on keeping your appetite down and helping you lose weight. So we'll talk a little bit about that. I mean, I think one thing that's important to keep in mind here is that natural GLP-1, there's a reason that we haven't used natural GLP-1 to control people's weight in the past. Like, we've known about GLP-1 as a hormone for a long time. The issue with it is it doesn't stick around in our bodies very long. It gets broken down in just a matter of a few minutes. So it doesn't stick around very long. It gets made in the gut, it does its job, and then it's gone. And so that if you're making more of it naturally, not only do you need the natural GLP-1, you would need it consistently. You'd need it over time to really have a comparable effect to something like these medications do. But these are the claims that they're making. Some of them are stronger than others. They're here making a claim that this product, this supplement, boosts natural GLP-1 production. So we should look for whether there's actually evidence that that's the case. And the rest of these claims are kind of weaker, right? So they're saying it supports appetite control, right? So that is not as strong of a claim. It's not saying that, like, if you take this, then you will have a lower appetite. It's saying it supports it. So maybe as part of an overall plan, it could help you. It supports healthy weight management. So it's not saying it's going to make you lose weight. It says that if you're trying to lose weight, this could support that, right? Which is a very weak claim. It's not very strongly regulated. Enhances satiety. Basically, that says it makes you feel more full, and then improves metabolic balance. I don't know what that means. What is it to be metabolically balanced? That's the kind of thing where they can just say it. Maybe it sounds good to people, but I don't know that if it really means anything. So these are the claims they're making. I think the big one here is that they're saying it boosts natural GLP-1, and we should really look at the evidence and figure out, have they shown that that is the case, or at least given us reason to believe that that's a likely outcome. So what is the evidence that they're actually showing us on their website? Now, what I've tried to do is focus on what is the evidence that the company that's making this product is putting forward. because I'm making the assumption that they will put forward the best evidence that they have supporting their product and that that would be the most representative. And if there's better evidence out there, that they would have found that and would be showing it to us. So here, they have a science page. It's pretty dense, honestly, but in this science page, they include some plots here about weight loss, and they also include 43 references to peer-reviewed papers that have been published in scientific studies. Some of them are reviews, some of them are original studies, but there are 43 of them. I only looked at the first 25 and then I got bored. So I can talk to you about the first 25 and about this particular paper that they're highlighting front and center on their science page. And really, what this paper is looking at, it's a study, it's a weight loss study. So obese people were given either a placebo or probiotics, and then they looked at what was the effect that they that these probiotics had on weight loss compared to the placebo group, right? So here they're looking at what they're calling a hunger hormone. This is not GLP-1. What you would want to see is GLP-1 going up, right? Because that's what they're saying, it's boosting it. This is something else. And so here they're claiming this brings the hunger hormones down. So in the probiotics group, after 24 weeks, it went down more than it did in the placebo group. Similarly, here we're looking at body weight and fat mass. Kind of, you have the same relationship. So people in the probiotics group lost more body weight and more fat than people in the placebo group. So placebo, they still lost a little bit of weight. That happens in these kind of studies. People tend to like pay more attention to it when they know they're on a study, and they tend to lose a little weight. People on the probiotics lost more. So that seems pretty interesting, pretty compelling at first glance. So I looked into the paper a little bit more closely and tried to figure out what is the study that this data is actually coming from, and how does that relate to the Bioma GLP-1 booster, and is that evidence really strong and really supports that? So um, this is the paper that it came from. Okay, so this paper was published in 2013, and it, like I said, it's a clinical study looking at the effects of probiotic supplementation on weight loss in these people. Okay, so it's an interesting study, but there are a couple of issues as it pertains to the Bioma GLP-1 booster. And the big one, which you might be able to tell just from looking at the title of this paper, is that the probiotic they're looking at is Lactobacillus rhamnosus. So if we go back to what was actually in the Bioma GLP-1 booster, Lactobacillus gasseri, Bifidobacterium, and Akkermansia. There's no Lactobacillus rhamnosus in this product. Okay, so just to make that really clear, if it's not obvious, they are using a study of a different probiotic and its effects on weight loss to claim that this product with different probiotics will lead you to have more GLP-1 and more weight loss. Okay, so that is a big stretch in my mind. Not all probiotics are created equal. You can't say just because this probiotic had an effect in this other study that our probiotic will have a similar effect. That I think is not supported. The other thing worth noting here is if you look at the actual results, and it's even in what they actually it's not in what they cited here. It's in the paragraph before what they put on their webpage. The effect that was seen on weight loss in the probiotics was only seen in women. Okay. Now, that doesn't mean it isn't real, but the primary result of this study was looking at weight loss in their whole population of men and women. And when you looked at everybody, there was no significant effect. There was only an effect when you looked just at women. Now, why might that be? There are several reasons. One, it's a genuine difference biologically between men and women and how they respond to probiotics. I can't say. It may also be just a random chance thing that if you have a smaller sample size, they randomly saw a good effect in women. And when you put more people in, the effect went away. I'm not saying that that is not a real result, but I am saying I think it's worth taking with a grain of salt because it didn't apply to everybody. The more important thing here is that this probiotic is not in their product, right? So that is not a claim that holds water in my mind. Like I mentioned, I looked at the first 25 of these references and then I got bored. But I didn't find in those 25, I didn't find any references showing an effect of pre or probiotics on actual production of GLP-1. Okay. And that doesn't have to necessarily be a clinical study. That could be laboratory studies. And What I would like to see is they take this Bioma GLP-1 booster mix, put it in a model system, and then measure GLP-1 and say, does GLP-1 go up? That's a relatively straightforward thing to do scientifically, and others have done it. I did a Google Scholar search to find have people looked at this, and they have. And so this is an example paper, and I didn't look exhaustively, so this is just an example where the authors were looking at the effect of probiotics, and this was a Lactobacillus paracasei and a Bifidobacterium animalis. Um, so important to note that this Bifidobacterium animalis is similar to one that they have in their product. That in a cell culture system, it was able to promote production of GLP-1 by human cells. Okay, so that evidence was out there, that exists, and there are several papers that are like this. Why this company did not highlight this research to directly show that when you put micro probiotics into a system, you get GLP-1 production? That would seem to be supportive of the claim of boosting GLP-1. They're not presenting that evidence. I'm not sure why that is the case. It would seem like that would be something you would want to put front and center, particularly if you weren't particularly concerned about which probiotic it was, like they are in the case of the clinical study. It seems like something that you would want to highlight. So there is evidence that that can happen, but I haven't seen any evidence that this particular product, the Bioma GLP-1 Booster mix, does actually boost GLP-1. They're claiming it, but I haven't seen any evidence for it. So just to kind of summarize that, as far as I can tell, the company here has not provided evidence that this particular mixture of pro and prebiotics actually boosts the production of GLP-1, either in an experimental system in the lab or in a clinical study. And the clinical study that they're showing, not only are there some issues with the primary results of weight loss, but it wasn't even the probiotics that are in this product. So at the end of the day, I am very, very skeptical about the claims that are being made. And, I think it's a pretty important thing to keep in mind because there are so many probiotics out there and so many supplements that are trying to capitalize on the GLP-1 craze and make claims about GLP-1 to get people to buy it. And I think it's working. I think they're making a lot of money on that. And that's why I think this kind of education is important for people to understand what is the real evidence out there that either supports or does not support using a product like this for boosting GLP-1 and for supporting weight loss. So, to be fair, this product does have a lot of sales. They've got a lot of reviews online. There are reviews from people who say that they've had a really great experience with this, that it's helped them with their appetite control, helped them with their weight loss. And to that, I would say if it works for you, that's awesome. I don't have any concerns about the safety of this product. I don't think it's going to harm anyone. Um, and if it works for you, great. Keep doing what works for you. So, with all that said, I think that the main message here is really just to be skeptical, particularly about claims of supplements that are not tightly regulated by FDA or not reviewed by FDA. You should be thoughtful about what you spend your money on, and ultimately, that's your decision. And I'm not going to tell anyone to not do something if it's something that they want to do or they believe helps them. But I do think it's worth understanding what is the science that is behind the claims that companies are making. So please think carefully about that. I hope you found this helpful. If you like the video, please leave a like, subscribe, comment. That really helps me out, helps me grow the channel, and it helps me, learn what kind of things are informative and helpful for the audience. So I'm looking forward to making more of these, and I'll see you next week. Thanks.